The story of Initial D has been completed as a manga, has been completed as an anime, has turned into a live-action movie, and then the first season of the anime has been remade as a 3-part movie, which then now has been turned into a short recap once again. This recap style has also been there for the anime series as well. So in total, we have the manga, we have the anime, we have the better stage variant of the anime, we have the live action movie, we have the first season of the anime remade into newer standards of anime movies. So that itself is like now what, 3 movies plus a re-edit of that. So in total, we have about 6 different ways how we can experience the story of Initial D. And that doesn't even include all the different Initial D games out there which have been released over the lifespan of the anime and the movies as well. Despite all of that, people are still expecting more from a story that has been finished. And now they're looking at MF Ghost, which has not yet been finished, and expect already Initial D standards from the anime version of a manga that hasn't been even finished yet. Let me be clear here. I don't hate Initial D. I don't hate any versions of Initial D out there. I never read the manga yet. I might do it in the future just to fact check myself. I like the anime version of it. I don't dislike the live action movie adaptations of it. I think the retelling of the first season was alright, and even Better Stage 3 was enjoyable for me. But here's the thing. The amount of care that has been put into this series, even if it feels cheap these days, is still a lot more than what any other series has ever experienced out there. The closest thing out there to Initial D that I can think of has to be Taxi. Now, for those who don't know, Taxi has started out as a French movie in 1998. Taxi 2 released in 2000, Taxi 3 released in 2003, then in 2004 there was an American version of the Taxi movies which was a huge flop. Then came Taxi 4 and 5, and ever since that there has been next to nothing for the series. Oh yeah, by the way, there was also another American attempt for Taxi called Taxi Brooklyn, which has based the story on the first movie, the first French movie. So you could say that this series had 3 different takes on the same story. There was also 2 games for the French movies, but that is somewhat a series out there that has stood its time. But I mean, like, Taxi 5 was such a train wreck of a movie. I really don't see them coming back with another movie. But why do I mention Taxi here? Because that is, I think, the closest thing out there to Initial D that has stood its time somewhat. I mean, it's not really mentioned anymore. It hasn't been about racing that much either. Meanwhile, in Initial D, it's all about racing cars and stuff like that. But there's nothing like Initial D out there. We had Manga Midnights, which was simply just one series, had also a manga version originally as well, but it stood its time as an arcade racer game. And the arcade racers don't have next to almost nothing with what the story was told originally. We could look at series like The Fast and the Furious, but they just became a parody of themselves as well. And they never really had any other presentation outside of the main movie series. With Initial D, I do think there's not much else they can do with the series anymore. They can remake the series or continue with the remakes over time, but I don't know what people are actually expecting from this series. We have MF Ghost coming up as an anime in 2023, but for those who already read the manga, I mean, the expectations aren't really high for that series. As someone who clearly still likes Initial D, who clearly still enjoys anime, clearly still enjoys Eurobeat, I'm just here to say this. Please, let the series rest in peace, because people will only complain about it.